All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down a really counterintuitive system that the smartest people are using with AI. And forget just getting quick answers. This is about actually training your brain to be sharper, faster, and to outthink pretty much anyone.
So here's the problem, and let's be blunt about it. For most people, AI is becoming a mental crutch. It's actually weakening their ability to think for themselves. They're basically training their own replacement, and that is a really dangerous game to be playing.
But what if you could just flip that entire script? What if you could use the exact same tool not to get dumber, but to become, well, dangerously intelligent? To get ahead of the curve, not just keep up with it. That's exactly what we're going to unpack.
So here's the plan. We've got a clear 4-step framework. First, something called intelligent laziness. Then we're going to talk about climbing the intelligent hill. Third, we'll get into building the intelligent gym. And we'll finish up with what might be the most crucial step of all, playing the intelligent fool.
Okay, let's kick it off with step 1, intelligent laziness. Now, I know what you're thinking, laziness? But this isn't about slacking off. It's about being incredibly strategic with your energy. It's about outsourcing the wrong kind of work so you can obsess over the right kind.
So, why do we get so bogged down in stuff that doesn't matter? Well, it turns out our brains have this little glitch. It's called completion bias. Basically, your brain gets a nice little dopamine hit for finishing any task. It doesn't care if it's a game-changing project or just formatting a slide. And that tricks us, right? It makes everything feel urgent.
So, think about your work in 2 zones. Over on the left, you've got zone 1 tasks. These have capped payoffs. Making an internal email 10% prettier doesn't really move the needle. This is your zone for intelligent laziness. But on the right, that's zone 2. The payoffs here are uncapped. A brilliant product design, a breakthrough conversation with a customer, being just a tiny bit better here can lead to massive results. This has to be your zone of obsession.
So, how do you actually do it? Easy. Just remember the DRAG framework. You just DRAG all your Zone 1 work over to AI. D is for drafting. Let AI kill that blank page syndrome for you. R is for research. Let it synthesize hundreds of articles in minutes. A is for analysis. Have it take that first crack at finding patterns in your data. And G is for all the grunt work. The boring, repetitive stuff. Just hand it over.
All right, so once you've dragged away all that noise, you're free to focus. And that brings us to section 2, climbing the intelligent hill. This is all about learning how to talk to AI to get elite-level results. We're moving way beyond basic questions here. Now, this is a huge mindset shift. You have to stop treating AI like a calculator. A calculator is predictable. 2 + 2 is always 4. AI, it's more like a drunk genius. One minute it gives you a world-changing insight, the next it's just confidently making things up. So you can't just ask it a question and walk away. You have to guide it.
Our first base camp on this climb is one-shot prompting. Super simple, but really effective. Instead of asking a vague question, just give the AI one clear example to follow. Like, hey, write me a LinkedIn post about remote work, and I want you to use this post as a style guide. See? You're giving it a target to aim for.
Okay, moving on up, we get to camp 2, few-shot prompting. This is where you give the AI a few more examples, say 3, 4, even 5 of your best presentations. What this does is it grounds the model in reality. It forces it to find the real patterns in your work, so it stops fantasizing and starts understanding your actual style.
As we get higher, we hit chain of thought reasoning. This is one of my favorites. You just add a simple phrase to your prompt, think step by step. That's it. It forces the AI to slow down, show its work, and be more logical. It dramatically cuts down on those weird, drunk genius moments.
And at the very top of the hill, we have agents. This is where you give AI not just a task, but an entire workflow with different roles. You could say, first, I want you to act as an expert researcher. Then, switch hats and be a data analyst. And finally, act as a world-class copywriter to create a memo based on your findings. You're basically hiring a whole team with a single prompt.
So at this point, you're fast, you're efficient, and this is where most people would probably stop. But the top performers do something that sounds kind of crazy. They deliberately slow down and add friction. Why would they do that? Because they know real long-term intelligence is built through resistance. So welcome to the intelligent gym.
This metaphor just nails it. Most people are using AI as a wheelchair for the mind. It makes things easier in the short term, but over time, their own mental muscles just atrophy. The smart way is to use AI as a spotter in a gym.
It doesn't lift the weight for you, but it adds resistance, pushes you harder, and makes sure you don't fail. That's how you actually get stronger. And the principle we're using here is called progressive overload. You know it from working out. To build muscle, you have to keep lifting heavier weights. Well, it's the exact same idea for our minds. We need to tackle harder and harder intellectual challenges, and AI is the perfect tool to create that resistance for us.
So what does this actually look like? Here's a super practical way to do it. Take any topic you want to master, feed it to the AI, and ask it to quiz you in stages. Level 1, quiz me like a high school student. Then level 2, okay, now quiz me like a college student. Then ramp it up, grill me like I'm in a tough executive interview. And finally, for the boss level, challenge me like an irate boss who thinks I have no clue what I'm talking about. I promise you, if you can pass that last test, you know your stuff cold.
Okay, we've covered the tools, the techniques, but this last step, this is the most important one. It's an internal shift that unlocks everything else. It's about having the courage to play the intelligent fool.
And this gets to a really deep truth. You know what the biggest barrier to getting smarter is? It's not a lack of information. It's our own ego. It's the fear of looking stupid that stops us from asking the simple questions. The most intelligent people, they're obsessed with what they don't know. They embrace being a beginner over and over again.
And this isn't just some nice, fluffy idea. It has massive, real-world consequences. I mean, just look at Microsoft. A single cultural shift, one change in mindset, took their market cap from $300 billion to over $3 trillion, a 10x growth. That is just staggering.
So what was that trillion-dollar shift? Well, when Satya Nadella took over as CEO, he moved the company from a culture of know-it-alls to a culture of learn-it-alls. He basically gave the smartest engineers in the world permission to say, I don't know. And that simple change unleashed a tidal wave of innovation. Because real learning can only happen when you admit you have something to learn.
And that's the real opportunity here. AI gives you the ultimate private tutor. It's a safe space to be a student again. You can ask it the dumbest questions imaginable with zero fear of judgment. So the final question is really for you. Do you have the courage to play the fool today so you can be the genius tomorrow?